Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to unpack a truly fascinating journey, the chronological story of how Islam arrived and integrated into the Indian subcontinent. Now, this isn't just a simple story of kings and conquests. It's a beautifully interwoven narrative of political shifts and massive socio-cultural transformations. We're going to trace exactly how different civilizations met, clashed, and ultimately synthesized over thousands of years.
All right, let's literally fast forward through early history. From Stone Age hunters, we leap to 3300 BC and the brilliant Harappan civilization in the Indus Valley, complete with advanced city streets and bustling markets. By 1500 BC, the Aryans arrive, bringing the Vedas and a strict hierarchical caste system, with Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. This sets the social stage right up to the 7th century, when a completely new ideology, Islam, reaches these shores.
So, let's move to our roadmap and see how this builds. We'll be looking at 1. The Golden Bird, 2. Traders of the Coast, 3. The Sindh Conquest, 4. Saints and Sultans, 5. The Mughal era, and 6. Division and Destiny. We're going to trace both the sword of empires and the heart of cultural integration.
Part 1. The Golden Bird, an ancient tapestry of wealth and faith. Long before the 7th century, this land was already a thriving, spiritually rich powerhouse. You had ringing temple bells echoing right alongside silent Buddhist monasteries, governed by powerful Rajputs and the seafaring Chola dynasty. And globally, it was known as the Golden Bird. I mean, just imagine markets totally overflowing with black pepper, cinnamon, silk, diamonds, and perfumes. This incredible wealth acted like a magnet, pulling Arab traders across dangerous oceans, navigating literally by starlight, just to reach these highly lucrative Indian shores, specifically the Malabar coast and Gujarat.
Part 2. Traders of the Coast. Arrival through commerce and character.
So, when these Arab traders arrived on their massive sailboats, it kicked off a clash of cultures, but not the kind you'd expect. The locals were totally struck not just by their foreign clothes, but by their akhlaq, their impeccable character. They were scrupulously honest, they weighed their goods fairly, and they had just a genuinely good demeanor. And as these traders settled down and married locally, the call to prayer echoed for the very first time. In fact, the Sheraman Juma Masjid in Kerala is widely considered the first mosque built in the region. It permanently planted the roots of the faith in a completely peaceful, community-driven way. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive transformation. See, ancient Indian society was governed by a pretty rigid caste system, where lower castes were severely marginalized and barred from temples. But when locals watched these new Muslims praying, they witnessed a radical equality. Rich and poor, kings and slaves, standing shoulder to shoulder in the exact same row. That striking egalitarianism deeply resonated with marginalized locals.
Part 3. The Sindh Conquest. The first political foothold.
Now, what's really interesting about this part of the story is, well, while Islam was spreading quietly on the coasts, a pirate attack on an Arab trade ship further north triggered a massive geopolitical shift. Prisoners were taken, and the powerful Umayyad governor Hajjaj bin Yusuf demanded the local ruler Raja Dahir release them. And when that failed, the caliphate dispatched a military commander to march on Sindh. And that commander, Muhammad bin Qasim, was only 17 years old. Just 17. Armed with a massive army, he kicked off a grueling journey across the desert.
His military progression was, honestly, systematic and relentless. He started with the intense siege of Dabal, a major port city, using massive catapults to literally rain down stones. Then he pushed inward, capturing Nehran and taking control of Sehwan. The whole campaign culminated in a massive sand-swept battle against Raja Dahir. And despite the intense desert conditions, Qasim's disciplined tactics won out, defeating the Raja, and Sindh officially fell under Arab control.
But here's the thing. Qasim wasn't just a warrior. He actually proved to be a really pragmatic administrator. Once in control, he granted amnesty to the local populations. Instead of destroying the culture, he allowed religious freedom, explicitly sparing local temples. He quickly got trade routes up and running again, and set up a functional administration. Now, shifting politics back home did lead to his sudden recall and death at a very young age, but the political foothold of Islam in the subcontinent had been firmly established.
Part 4. Saints and Sultans. The sword and the heart.
Over the centuries, powerful Muslim empires pushed deeper into the mainland. We saw the rise of the Ghaznavids, the Ghauris, and the mighty Delhi Sultanate under leaders like Qutbuddin Aibak and Ala ad-Din Khilji. But a really profound truth emerged from this era. Think about this. People can forget the sword, but not character. While sultans built towering cities and fought brutal wars, it wasn't the sword that truly converted the masses. It was the Sufi saints. The true spread of the faith happened in rural villages, not in royal courts.
The Sufi approach was incredibly unique. These mystics entirely bypassed political power. They completely avoided the palaces, traveling deep into the villages instead. They sat with the poor, fed the hungry, and treated absolutely everyone as an equal. Legendary figures like Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti and Nizamuddin Aulia drew in the common people who were so tired of class divisions. They didn't use force, they used love, equality, and their flawless character to win hearts.
Part 5, the Mughal era, a grand cultural synthesis.
Eventually, the landscape shifted dramatically after Babur's victory at Panipat, founding the sprawling Mughal Empire and ushering in an absolute golden age. The Mughal era was the ultimate melting pot. You had Akbar implementing a system of religious harmony that secured trade routes across the land. We saw the rise of breathtaking architectural marvels in Agra and Fatehpur Sikri, culminating, of course, in the Taj Mahal. But it wasn't just buildings. There was a massive educational boom with madrasas teaching math, astronomy, and philosophy. And culturally, this era gave birth to the Urdu language, a beautiful, living testament to the fusion of different traditions.
But, as history always shows us, no golden age lasts forever. Internal strife, weak succession, and outer rebellions started to fracture the great Mughal Empire. Which brings us to a truly intriguing question. How did a simple trading company manage to conquer an entire empire? Well, the British East India Company was watching the Mughal decline with very opportunistic eyes.
Part 6, Division and Destiny, the Fall of Empires and the Birth of Nations.
As the Mughals weakened, the British East India Company transitioned from simple coastal traders buying textiles and spices to absolute rulers of Bengal, Madras, Bombay, and Delhi. The timeline here accelerates dramatically. The 17th and 18th centuries saw the rapid rise of the company. By 1857, massive resentment boiled over into the War of Independence, a unified rebellion against the British. But it was crushed. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was exiled, marking the definitive, heavy end of the empire. The decades that followed saw a massive, unified independence movement, which ultimately led to the historic climax in 1947.
But 1947 wasn't just a moment of liberation. It was an agonizing tragedy. The British departure meant the subcontinent was partitioned into two new nations, India and Pakistan. This division drew arbitrary borders right through ancient lands. It literally split families overnight, forced millions to abandon their ancestral homes, and filled migration trains with unimaginable sorrow and violence. It's a deeply traumatic memory that still lives right alongside the joy of newfound independence.
So the crucial point is this. Looking back from the Stone Age all the way to 1947, we see that the subcontinent is a land of constant flux. Kings die, dynasties crumble, borders get violently redrawn. But what actually endures? The faith that arrived on humble trade ships, the character of the Sufis who preached love, and the incredibly rich, synthesized cultural tapestry woven together over thousands of years. Those things remain permanently etched into the very soil of the land.
I want to leave you with this final thought. Knowing this incredibly complex journey of both bloody conquest and beautiful cultural synthesis, how does this shared, deeply intertwined history continue to shape the social and political realities of the subcontinent today? Think about that. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the history around you.